Apple TV Plus is continuing their association with some of the biggest names in the business, and you really don't get much bigger than this. George Clooney and Brad Pitt team up for Wolves. Let's talk about it. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my spoiler-free review for the new Apple TV Plus film Wolves. This is streaming right now, and it is not wolves, which really is the proper plural of wolf, but for whatever reason they've gone with wolves, I guess because they are two lone wolves coming together. I don't know. But in any event, we'll get into the specifics here of this movie in just a second. First, let me welcome you back to Dan Reviews It. If you're one of my subscribers already, thank you so much. Always love having you come back to the channel. If you are not one of my subs, though, please consider hitting that subscribe button down below, and as well the notification bell so you get the alerts for all my new drops. But also like this video, comment below, share it with your friends on your socials. All that stuff, of course, helps the channel out. All right, so George Clooney and Brad Pitt obviously have known each other for a long time, and I think at this point in Clooney's career, I feel like he just wants to work with his buddies. And look, there's nothing wrong with that. Sandler certainly has made a career out of it. But if I'm remembering right, the last big George Clooney movie was the Julia Roberts one where they play exes and their daughter's getting married, and it's basically just an excuse for them to have a good time in a beautiful, scenic place. Sure, again, taking a note from the Sandler book. Sure. And obviously, Pitt and Clooney have done the Ocean's movies together. I don't know if they've teamed up other than that, but obviously they've been friends a long time in the biz. So always nice to see them sort of working together. And this is sort of in that vein, I guess you could say, because it is, it's not necessarily a heist movie per se, but it's an action movie with sort of the comedic elements coming from the two of them kind of bouncing off of each other. While I wouldn't call this a comedy, it certainly got comedic elements like the Ocean movies, I would say. So the plot here is two professional fixers, played by these two leading men, who are forced to work together on a particular job despite their preference to operate separately. Lone wolves, as it were. And this was written and directed by John Watts, who brought us, at least directing-wise, all three of the Marvel Cinematic Universe Spider-Man movies. So all of the three that they've done so far, Homecoming, Far From Home, and No Way Home, were all directed by him. He did not write any of those movies. He does have some writing and co-writing credit on some other smaller feature films, but in terms of like big budget stuff, that's where you may know his work. A couple other names in here include Amy Ryan, and there is a cameo. Well, I shouldn't say cameo, but it's like one scene from Richard Kind, who is one of George Clooney's best and oldest friends. These guys go back like to the college days, and there's some fun stories about them pranking each other. So I couldn't remember if I had seen Richard Kind in any George Clooney movies previously. Didn't look him up in that way, but when he popped on screen, I was like, oh, there's Clooney's old buddy. So this really is kind of a reason for him to just kind of hang out with his pals. You also have Austin Abrams here, as quote-unquote the kid. You may know him from The Walking Dead. He's done a bunch of, kind of smaller movies as well. He did a romantic movie called Paper Towns years ago from a popular book. So you'll probably recognize him from something. He was in, like I said, The Walking Dead. So, but that's really it. This is a pretty small cast. There's only maybe 2 or 3 other people that even appear on camera in this movie. It's very sort of close-knit. So look, this is a plot that we've certainly seen time and again, and there are some pretty great examples of this kind of a story. Midnight Run certainly comes to mind. But the fun of a movie like this is getting to see, two of our greatest actors kind of playing off each other. And I say sort of, greatest actors with a little bit of a caveat. I think Brad Pitt can certainly be a great actor. We've seen him do a lot of different types of roles. George Clooney, I think a little less so. I mean, I like the guy a lot. He's in one of my all-time favorite movies, The Descendants. That is in my top 50 of all time. But he really does tend to just kind of play George Clooney in every movie. And here it is sort of just Clooney and Pitt having a ball with each other, volleying the insults back and forth. While, oh yeah, there's, sort of a bit of a plot here as well. And the movie starts off, with a pretty interesting, kind of scenario. Again, it's one that we've seen time and again, but all right, something happens to this guy that Amy Ryan has been with for the evening. And so George Clooney gets called in, but unbeknownst to him, Brad Pitt gets called in as well, his sort of nemesis or whatever. And so the two of them have to work together from there. So it starts out, interestingly enough, and then there's a few twists and turns with the story. Certain things are changed the more information they learn. And then there's sort of a really big reveal towards the end. But it's all kind of like fluff. To just give us a showcase to see Clooney and Pitt just kind of tag teaming it, having a great time. And it is a bit reminiscent of the Julia Roberts movie from a couple of years ago, Ticket to Paradise. It was just Julia Roberts and George Clooney just having a ball. And that's, for some people going to be enough. This kind of reminds me of a lot of the direct to Netflix movies where they'll have a couple of A-listers, teaming up, and just their camaraderie is sort of the hook for the movie. Red Notice is one that comes to mind. I think that's the name of it, with The Rock and Ryan Reynolds, and they're just kind of going back and forth. This is that movie. So this will be satisfying enough for a lot of people. I think somebody looking for a deeper story or, some really top-notch acting, I'm not sure you'll find it here, but this is certainly good enough, coasting off of these two leads whose charisma and energy is just kind of oozing off of the screen. So I leave Wolves with a B minus. Certainly enjoyable enough to give it a slightly passing grade. You can check this out now on Apple TV Plus. Thank you so much for watching Dan Reviews It. I'll see you next time.